This video that you're about to see started out as an entirely different video. What I'd intended to do was cut a few holes in the airbox and drill a few holes in the exhaust. That's it. What it turned into instead is me doing the governor bypass as demonstrated by B Welding, which, because of the seized clutch, I can't ride the go-kart yet, but my god, it sounds like a completely different engine. So enjoy. Here's how I went. So the plan today is to give this old, well, it's not even old, less than a year old go-kart motor some much needed TLC, because I've never really bothered trying to tune the carb or even clean it, and it's been sat for almost a year in the grass. So what I hope to do is eke just a little bit smoother performance out of it. And we're going to start by getting into the airbox. I might have a look at pulling that apart and seeing if there's anything I can really do to that. And maybe draining this fuel out as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get it started and then just run the fuel out of that carb. Alright, fuel off, off, off. Alright. That is just, oops, a giant block of restricting foam. So I have an idea about that, but it's going to have to wait. So that's just the breather hose, that's fine. So I was having a bit of a sticky beak under here at the governor arm and spring. Now I'm not interested in bypassing any of this, not just yet. But what you can see, so right back here, so that spring right at the back, thanks to this little LED torch, it doesn't actuate the governor until about half throttle. So my suspicion is that we haven't even been getting full throttle on the carb. So the solution is I'm going to just grab my needle nose pliers and try and pull that spring tighter so that we get that instant actuation. Because there's only so much play in the throttle lever. So I think we haven't even been hitting full throttle on this engine. So I really wanted to avoid taking too much of this apart just in case I can't put it back together again. But the only way I'm going to get to the governor springs is by taking it all bolt by bolt. I can sort of get a grip on the wire, but I can't really do anything with it. Please don't all unspring at once. I will be awfully upset. I'm going to leave that spring attached. Take that. And that, what did I do with the top one? Don't think there was one. Alright. I think we'll be wanting to readjust the accelerator cable anyway. Pull that out of the way. Now, this is the bugger that I wanted to adjust. Alright. Because he wasn't sitting as far forward or as far back as what I would have liked. Alright, so this spring sits about there. All I'm going to do is take my pliers and bend that up. Oops, my bad. Alright, now that should be all she wrote. So, this may take a bit of finagling because I've wound this spring back here too tight now. As a result, the governor is basically holding the throttle open. My bad. So I'm going to take it all apart again and just put a bit more slack in it. I got a bit over eager, I shall say. Alright, I'll be honest, I've got no idea if I've effed it or not. I don't understand why, but it seems to be running backwards. So I'm going to put this airbox back together, start it up, and just see what the hell I've done. On. Alright, I've done something very, very wrong. For the life of me, I can't figure out what I've done. Alright, I have done something very, 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 very wrong here. It's stuck at wide open throttle. So I'm just going to have to go back, review my footage, try and figure out what the fuck I've done. Right, so here's where we're at. I cut the crap and removed the tank. That was one of the jobs I had to do anyway, was draining that old fuel out, because that wasn't going to be doing my cart any favours. So that's not such a big deal. For whatever reason, I can't figure out why that won't work after I've put it back together. So, against my better judgment, I'm going to follow the tutorial by rather B Welding for bypassing that governor arm. That's the only way I can figure out how to get it working again. So yeah, someone help me out in the comments. If you know what I've done wrong, let me know. We're going to try this. I won't call it a solution, I'll call it an option, and see how we go. This is something that I did want to try anyway, but I was hesitant to. So once this finishes draining, I'll put that together and I'll check in with you when that's done. Alright, so the crux of this is we're not really actually removing the governor, we're just sort of bypassing it. Same basic concept. We've dragged the throttle cable through here so we can throw the cable through the actual governor arm, and this spring, which was connected up here, is now going to be connected to the back underneath the fuel tank bolt. So this spring will return the governor to closed, and the throttle itself will, obviously when it's pulled, it'll pull it forward like that. So basically I'll be using this to adjust the slack in the throttle. So obviously that's just loose until I get the tank put back up on there, and I'll check in when I'm done. So I was a little bit ahead of myself putting the fuel tank back on. Now, in the video I watched on how to do this, they used cable ties, which, yeah, okay, look, I'm sure they work in a pinch, but I'm going to go out and get some actual wire clamps, because I reckon that's the only way I'm going to be able to support that. But basically, all that's happening as I'm pulling the cable. Because it's not secure, of course it's just pulling back up through there. So quick trip to the hardware store, and that little bugger is going to secure my cable, except now I've got to go around and undo all of this yet again. Alright, so here's where we're at. We've got our cables locked in there properly. Now, I think this cable is a bit munted up this end. But with a little bit of adjustment, what I'm having to do is make sure that I'm manually returning the cable in there, because this spring by itself is not quite good enough to return it. But as far as I can see, that's doing everything it needs to. So I'll go ahead and bang the tank back on for the third time, and all we can do is start it up and see how it runs. Now that sounds promising, and I did want to go for a ride, but this clutch is completely seized. You can actually hear it grinding. So this thing's a frickin' beast, but that clutch is absolutely fried. Now, I do have a replacement on the way. I had really thought I'd be able to drive it around. The engine just won't start with the wheels locked or the wheels even touching the ground. That clutch is, yeah, le-rooted. So now it's just a waiting game until my new component arrives. But my word, this engine's an absolute beast now. That governor bypass, good grief. We should be right just so long as I am conscious of the revs of the engine. For example, not going flat knacker for too long. But that's it for now. Unfortunately, there's nothing more I can do with a seized clutch. Fingers crossed I don't have to wait too long, and fingers crossed I can get it to go together. There's not much left to do really than shut the fuel off, park it away, and wait till our new transmission arrives.